Hi, my name is Felix and I'm a feminine trans man.
Felix is a 27-year-old trans man from Sweden. He has a very feminine way of presenting, and in this video we're gonna dig deep into that. But first, let's start with how and when he started realizing that he might be trans.
Well, I knew from a very, very young age that something was off. I know that's very typical for trans people to say, like, I knew something was wrong. But like, I remember when I was 5 or 6 that I realized that my name didn't feel like my name. But I just assumed that everyone felt like that like no one felt connected to their name, that it was normal. And then when I was in the first grade, so about 7 or 8 years old, I cut my hair short for the first time, and that felt very good. People at school would start coming up to me on the playground asking if I was a boy or a girl, and that felt good for some reason, but I didn't understand why. I had never heard of trans people or anything like that. But then when I was 12 or 13, I came across a blog that was run by a trans guy, and everything just clicked. I realized like the things he was describing in his blog were things that I had always felt, but I had never known what those feelings meant. I had never really heard of transgender people.
When he was 16, he started his gender assessment or gender investigation. That is something you have to go through in Sweden in order to get your diagnosis, which leads to you being able to change your legal gender and get access to gender-affirming treatment. The investigation can go on for anything from a couple of months to a couple of years. And for Felix, it took 2 years. And he feels that some of the methods they used to figure out his gender identity were sometimes a bit questionable.
There were many things that I found problematic with my investigation. There were so many questions about your life and your childhood that you just knew what they wanted you to answer when they asked you what kind of toys you played with as a child. You knew you were supposed to say that you played with boys' toys. One of the weird things they did was they gave me a piece of paper where I had to draw a map of my friends and like people I hang out with, and they wanted to see like how many friends do you have that are boys and how many are girls. Like that makes a difference for your gender identity. Because I mean, I've mostly always been friends with girls mainly, and I feel like that's very common for gay guys to have lots of female friends.
In the past, you were only able to get your diagnosis and treatments if you were very stereotypical. You were not allowed to be feminine as a trans guy, and you weren't even allowed to be gay. This isn't really practiced anymore, but Felix still felt some pressure.
Of course, I wanted to do everything I could to pass as male, and also I did everything I could so that my friends and family would like see me more as a guy. So I would dress in a more masculine way and keep my hair short, not wear makeup, like do everything I can to look like a boy. But I always knew, even in my early teens, that I wanted to dress in a more feminine way. I even remember having this folder on my computer where I secretly saved pictures of feminine clothes that I wanted to wear. But I knew that I would have to wait before I could start wearing them, because I knew that I didn't want to wear them as a girl. And even though I wanted to wear these feminine clothes, I always knew that that had nothing to do with my gender identity, because I knew that I was still a trans man. I had no doubts about that. But then when I was 18 and I did my mastectomy and I got my testosterone, and my body changed and my voice changed and I looked and sounded more masculine, that's when I could finally start to relax a bit and start to let my femininity come out, because I knew that I was free to do that now without risking being misgendered. So I started small, with nail polish and foundation and then mascara, and I just started adding more and more and buying more and more new clothes that were more in a style that I wanted. But sometimes I felt like I crossed the line with myself. Sometimes I felt like, oh, this is too feminine, and my dysphoria would pop up, and I would feel like, oh no, I need to dress more masculine because I need to feel like a guy.
But that's not really the case anymore.
I think it's been a few years now since I felt any dysphoria, and these past couple of years I've been dressing more femininely than I ever have before. I just feel like now I'm more comfortable. Now I'm not so sensitive if like a stranger on the street thinks I'm a woman. I don't really care, because now I look the way I want to look and I don't feel insecure, and I'm not worried about passing. I feel like my whole vibe these days is just I want people to be confused when they look at me. I want people on the street to think like, is that a boy or a girl? Of course, it's never fun to be misgendered, but I feel like as long as people don't misgender me on purpose, then I'm fine with it, because I'm well aware of the way I look, and I choose to look this way.
But being a feminine guy can be a bit problematic in today's society.
Yeah, I feel like all men, no matter if you're a trans man or a cis man, have a lot of pressure to be masculine and to fit into the norms of what it means to be a man and looking like a man and acting like a man. All men have that pressure, no matter if you're trans or not. But I feel like trans men feel that pressure even more, because people tend to assume that if you're a trans man, then of course you want to fit into this male stereotype. Before I felt sure that I could pass as a man, I also dressed in a very stereotypical manly way. Just because it made me feel more safe. The more my body changed, from testosterone and surgery, the more I felt like, okay, I don't have to try so hard anymore. Now I can start to dress the way I want to and look the way I want to. And of course, there are people within the trans community and outside the trans community who think it's confusing or think it's wrong for a trans man to be more feminine. But I mean, the most important thing is that you are true to yourself and you dress the way you want to and look the way you want to. And I want to look pretty, so